America's story is a story of many chapters. But in all of its chapters, there has always been one constant, one example, one place where we as a nation have come together. That is in recognizing, celebrating, and supporting the men and women who serve in our military services. Even when we agree to disagree over mission, time, place, or circumstance, in some fundamental way, we recognize that service in the many branches of the military is service in our name, in our honor, and in protecting the fundamental freedoms and rights we claim as a nation and peoples. In history, it is often military service that is mourned over and memorialized, considered as the highest sacrifice one can give to the Stars and Stripes. And in that same regard, the world around proclaims at countless sites throughout many nations and countries the ultimate sacrifice that our armed forces have made. Often these sacrifices become history lessons in textbooks or a place of the past. Okinawa, Pearl Harbor, the DMZ along the 38th parallel of Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Pacific Theater. The list is long. Today, there's a new wave of patriotism rising in the United States. You can tell from the voices of people on the streets, in the media, and yes, in the halls of Congress as well. A renewed recognition. It says, in part, it is always the right time to do all we can to make a meaningful contribution to veterans, opening the door to greater opportunity, to healing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Actions that show that America does not forget and does not turn its back when its military veterans are asking for our helping hand and support. The headlines tell the story. Unemployment and foreclosure of homes or lack of credit for living a comfortable life is vastly higher for those who have served. For most Americans, this not only doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up. Never putting aside personal responsibility to make our way in this world, it still strikes many as a sad off note that needs to be tuned to a higher chord. While this documentary is not meant to cover all the issues involved, it does open a door to a timely and real pathway for many veterans and their families who gave their time and served to now live their later years in a place of dignity, safety, and, so very important also, remembrance of what came before. Hello, I'm Scott Cluthe with Phonoscope Video Productions in Houston, Texas. In this program, we will share with you a unique new property, the Sierra Meadows Apartments, a partnership of public and private sector funding, inspiration, planning, and determination that came to life on July 18, 2011. Sierra Meadows is the first veterans-themed tax credit housing for seniors in the United States, and it is located in East Humble, Texas, just off the North Sam Houston Parkway. We spent the day there to see this amazing facility on its grand opening, and also took time to talk with local, state, and national governmental representatives and military veterans to get their views on what Sierra Meadows represents as a symbol and a new model for meeting the growing needs of veterans as they approach their later years in new, creative, and sustainable ways. Here's some of that story from the people who made it happen, and also serves as a reminder of why it did. Dr. Edward Pringle, Field Director for the Houston branch of Housing and Urban Development. Welcome to Houston, sir.
Thank you. I'm the Field Office Director for the U.S. Department of HUD here in Houston, covering all of Southeast Texas and surrounding areas.
How important is this development in regards to the needs of veterans returning from wars, those who've lived and given their service over the years, of the ability to access affordable housing, also to suit a lifestyle that's really conducive to who they've done and the service they've rendered to our country, and Sierra Meadows as a model for that?
We at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development think this is a very, very important project, especially highlighting the service of our veterans and those who have served. We want to make sure that they are afforded all the opportunities for affordable housing, as we do with all of our citizens throughout the United States. And certainly those who have served, we realize that many have served and given their all, which given their life. And those veterans coming back, we want to make sure that they have a foundation. That's what the housing and urban development does. Establish a foundation for the community development to grow. And as the communities grow and as our service members return, they can become and remain a vital part of the growth of the United States of America. And Sierra Meadows is a great point in making that happen.
Dr. Pringle, in fact, one of the ideas is this is really a model, a template for something that could happen nationally. And I think one of the most important keys is the combination of both the private and public sector together. How do you feel about this, the joining together on this effort?
If the Secretary of HUD was here, he would say the same thing. This is a great idea, public and private funds working together. Sometimes we think of the government funds as being the all in all. We appreciate that, but you have to understand these are private areas that have to be worked as well. We live in a community, and so we want to make sure that we are actively involved, not only as a public servant, but we're working to make sure that we can interact in the community and make these things happen as a whole. That's how it gets done.
Dr. Pringle, one more thing. I know that you're introducing a man who's the father of a fallen veteran. How important is that introduction to you?
That's very important. As a veteran myself of 28 years in the United States Air Force, a disabled veteran, I came back. Some didn't come back. And that's important that we recognize. Obviously, we can't recognize everybody here, but when you have the opportunity to recognize someone in the area, we want to make sure that that happens and give them a chance to say thank you for your service.
Scott Francis O'Grady is a former United States Air Force captain and fighter pilot. When his plane was shot down over Bosnia, he ejected out behind enemy lines. The film Behind Enemy Lines is loosely based upon his experiences. How important is the issue of taking care of the men and women who are serving this country and moving forward, and how does Sierra Meadows represent that as the best aspect or one of the great positive aspects in your mind?
Well, I'm just absolutely filled with joy in my heart to see what Sierra Meadows has done by developing this patriotic development to allow for affordable housing to our veterans and their families. We owe them a great deal. It's been the veteran who has sustained our freedom and gives us our quality of life today. So I believe it's our patriotic duty to give back to them. Well, we have veterans and their family members who have many different types of challenges that are more unique to them just due to the fact that they took their time out of their life to serve our nation. And so with that, as a community, we should be taking care of them through solutions that we find from the public and private sector. So to see the Harris County Housing Authority and Sierra Meadows come together to be able to provide homes for our veterans and their families, I think that they normally wouldn't be able to afford in a wonderful community where they can have a family atmosphere, I think is a wonderful gift to give back, and it says a lot about the patriotism that we have here in the Houston area.
Congressman Ted Poe was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 2004 to represent the 2nd Congressional District of Texas. He also regularly visits our troops in the war zones of Iraq and Afghanistan.
This is a great project. It had it involved public sector, state, local, federal, and then it involved the private sector and the nonprofits, all these organizations working together. But the bottom line is this is a tribute to our veterans that have served, and it's a great tribute to them, give them a place now where they can live. This is the first of its kind in the United States, appropriately in Texas, because Texas, I think more than any other states, furnishes more people to the military, loves the military and the veterans. So we want to see more of these facilities that help veterans that come back and give them a place to live, especially those that have been wounded and are disabled. Even in the problems we have with the budget, I think it's pretty clear to members of Congress in both parties that we are going to take care of the veterans. United States didn't really do a good job back after the Vietnam War, and we are making up for that. The veterans that come back from Iraq, Afghanistan, and all over the world, they're going to have places to stay. We will continue to help them no matter what the budget problems are.
You know, you raise an important point, Congressman Poe. Unfortunately, Gene Green could not be here today. His lovely wife was representing the 29th District. But it's the ability to work together, to compromise, and find the bridges to work together on continuity and cooperation that makes a difference, isn't it, on these kinds of occasions?
That's correct. Military issues, veterans issues, they are strongly bipartisan issues. There's no party alignment when it comes to taking care of our veterans and doing the right thing by our military.